my conversation with Sean Dustin today. Check out his podcast. It's called Nowhere to Go But Up. And we talk about behavior that we're not proud of, stuff that we've done in the past that we wish we hadn't, but we understand ourselves better now and want to give people a platform, maybe feel like they can relate or feel understood if they have been abused in the past. Thanks so much for supporting our mission here, our little vision of helping others to heal. We're no doctors, we're no therapists, we're just regular people who went through some stuff and see a therapeutical, a beneficial use for others in listening to this. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Sean Dustin from the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. And joining me today is Aurora from the Borealis Experience. And Aurora and myself, if you haven't read the description, we teamed up because in our past we were abusive people, and we had unhealthy relationships, toxic relationships. The way that we dealt with the opposite sex or our significant others was not necessarily very productive or very healthy. So what we decided to do, and this would be the second episode of what we've done, is talk about these issues and share them with you and let you guys know that you're not alone if you are a part of this group of people that has experienced these kind of things in the past. And if you're looking to kind of change your behaviors and identify sort of the things and the blind spots in your life and in your behaviors, this is what we're here to do. We're here to talk about these things. So Aurora, I'm going to bring her in. Hey, Aurora, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? I'm gonna share this real quick with a bunch of different groups while you're taking care of that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Sean. Yeah, my name is Aurora. I started the Borealis Experience podcast a couple months ago and met Sean along the way. And we started talking and just realized that we have something in common that we're not really proud of. Like Sean just said, we were abusive and manipulative and not awesome with our previous partners or maybe family members. And I think it is really important as a woman to kind of disclose some of the behavior that I, practiced. And from his side to know that, there's women out there who are aware of this kind of behavior, and we're not proud of it. We want to be better. We want to connect with you guys and have healthy relationships. Sometimes it is just hard to, be that wonderful, awesome, heartwarming person because of stuff that happens in the past or stuff that we still haven't let go of. So this show here is very, very important to me. I'm very excited to be on this. And thank you for supporting us and for sharing or giving us any kind of feedback if you can relate or if this is of any benefit for you.
Thank you, Aurora. I appreciate that for the carrying me there for a little bit while I shared this through the Facebook groups. But last episode number 1, we talked about our past and kind of the things that you and I both did. You took your turn, and I took my turn, and we kind of gave everybody an idea of kind of the kind of people we were, the things that we would do, the traps that we would lay for our significant others, or, maybe the gaslighting that we would both do to try and, we did unwrap a lot of stuff in that. And so I would suggest that you go back and check that out. She has it on her podcast, the Borealis Experience. She's got an episode there. I have the same episode on mine, the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. So between either one, you'll be able to find it. And it's called Not Proud of Our Behavior, because that's really where we're at. We're not proud of the way that we behaved in the past, and we don't want to continue that into the future. And so by talking about it and, kind of like diving in and finding out, like, why did we do the things that we did? And, and other stuff. And then also checking in about, how were we triggered in any way this, since we've talked? Have we gone through any sort of things that, were impactful, or where we had to step back and go, oh man, I really need to take a look at that, because some of that old stuff is starting to come up. Is that kind of like where you feel, Aurora?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like as soon as I knew that we were going to do the second show on this Thursday, I was like, oh, I'm happy that I can talk about this stuff and reflect light on it in order to dissolve it instead of suppressing it more and more and more. And I hope our listeners can feel the same way in just listening. We might invite you guys to be guests or to send us emails or requests. But yeah, I was really looking forward to that second episode now, because there was quite a lot of stuff building up.
So let's talk about that, because you mentioned something that's really important. What happens when we don't talk about this stuff? What happens when we suppress it? Or what happens for you when you suppress these things and don't really get them out and let them sort of fester?
Let's talk about suppression. I think that I become very quiet, and when I open my mouth, it's usually cynical or very negative. So I feel shame about my behavior, but don't communicate that I feel regret or anything. Instead, I attack the other person verbally, or I just give them the silent treatment because I don't want to confront my feelings that are roaming inside of me. And the other person is usually like very helpless and doesn't really know how to approach me if I need space or if I need to be close and what's going on. So I'm totally confusing my partner, and are maybe even passive aggressive. And it's my way to kind of channel that pressure outside of me. And I know it's not the way to go. It's very destructive.
So would you say that if you were more communicative to your partner, that and kind of bring them in on how you're feeling, do you think that that would kind of help alleviate that pressure and also any kind of tension, because now you're sort of bringing them into the fold of what the issue is? Do you think that that would be a solution?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm totally aware that this would be the way to go, but I still struggle with it because I want to solve it on my own. I don't want to burden the other person, which doesn't make any sense because how I behave is more exhausting and shitty for them than if I was to communicate it. So there's still kind of that has to be built for me to know if I communicate it, there's a good experience coming out, and I'm still not there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's a journey. It really is. And I'm not sitting up here saying that, hey, I've got this figured out. This is, I'm not trying to sell you a course, right? I'm not trying to sell you anything that's telling you that I know that I've fixed myself. I've fixed a lot of parts of myself, but there are still those parts that come out. And if I'm not, exercising good communication, if I'm not keeping myself in a good space, and one of the things that's really important, if I'm not acting like my past is like speaking about my past as if it's my present. That's a huge one, because when we
Yes.
talk about things, and like for me, it's like I'll say, yeah, well, I'm not very smart at business, or I'm not a good business person. Well, that's not true.
No.
I'm just uninformed about how to do some parts of business, which make me feel like I'm not good at the whole thing. And as if I'm
Yeah.
saying that about myself, I'm actually willing it into existence that
Exactly.
this is me. This is my truth. And that's not true. And so when we can get
No.
away from talking about our past as if it's our present altogether, we eliminate that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I guess that's what you would call it. And so, yeah, that's really what the key is here, is almost like figuring out how to, almost like an addict, right? Like a drug addict, they got to figure out what their triggers are. When I feel this way, this happens. When I put myself in these situations over here, this happens. When I start feeling this way, what am I going to do in order to make X, Y, and Z not happen? Right. And so those are like mitigating things, mitigating bad outcomes from happening. And a lot of that has to
Yeah.
do with just playing the tape out, right?
Yeah.
Playing the scenario out in your head. And before you respond, you react emotionally, play the tape through and respond intelligently. Do you got anything to add to that?
What I want to add is that, like, we're talking eye to eye. I don't know if you say that in English, but we're one level. And if ever you notice something that I'm doing, like even just in our little interviews here, I take your advice because I don't feel you're above there and I'm down here. And we have different levels of healing. And if you see something where I could heal more, feel free to throw that advice at me and I will happily receive it. And I might do the same for you if that's okay with you, because at the beginning you said, yeah, you're at no point better than me, but we might have like different levels of healing. And yeah, I totally agree to what you just said. In being fixated on our past and saying, yeah, this is what happened to me in the past, and this is why I'm a victim today, and this kind of gives me the green pass to behave that way. That is not okay. Are you a victim or were you an abuser? In both cases, cannot hold yourself in that box, because otherwise you're going to keep behaving the same way and never get out of it, right? I think that's what you were saying when you talked about the past. And we have to look at the past and communicate about it, but we can't make it our identity and give us excuses to hold on to it more and kind of stay stuck in that past behavior just because we keep repeating the story, like talking about it. So yeah, very, very true.
It's about how we wield our words, right?
Mhm.
How we spin our words, and how we, the words that we use oftentimes create the story in our head and the narrative, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of what we do is so second nature that it is subconsciously, it's at the subconscious level. The behaviors that we are using, like for myself, some of the behaviors that I had were learned behaviors over years of bad behavior, right?
Mhm.
And they have been ingrained in what I do. I'll give you a good example. So I would come home, like I wouldn't have been doing anything wrong, but I may have been somewhere where I shouldn't have been, maybe I was at a friend's house, or maybe I went to stop somewhere and, to spend some money that I don't want to fess up about, right? Maybe I went and bought something for myself, and anything, right?
Mhm.
And instead of just being honest about it, my immediate response I would lie about it.
Mhm.
And it was stupid. It's like, what are you even lying about that for? That's so dumb. There's
Yeah.
no reason why you should have lied about that. I mean, you wouldn't have gotten in trouble. But now, when I would have to explain it,
Yeah.
it's like I get caught up in my words. It doesn't seem like it seems like I was doing something worse than I was actually doing when I'm trying to, lie my way out of it. Right. And it just goes from one to the next, to the next, to the next. So, I mean, it had all of these adverse reactions. And in order to mitigate that, it was just, look, man, these are the kind of behaviors that I have. I know that I have them. And let's not let those behaviors rule my day. Let's not
Mhm.
let them control my outcomes for my relationships. And
Yeah.
let's break free of them. And so that's kind of what I did. Does that kind of ring true with you, or how do you feel about that? Did you have any behaviors like that were like second nature to you, that you kind of clung on to, that kept you not being able to progress forward?
Yeah. Certainly, certainly. For me, lying was also a big part, but a bigger part for me was when I felt triggered, and the trigger inside of me brought out feelings of powerlessness and inferiority. I would totally like bite onto that problem and be so aggressive with any person that was going to come close to me, be it someone trying to help me, or someone just there while I'm still trying to figure stuff out. So that feeling of powerlessness. So past week, it was, for instance, my phone that just didn't function the way I needed it. And I just kept telling myself, this is just a test. The universe is testing me if I really want to do that podcast. And it was really like a huge stick in my wheels. Like, I couldn't think anymore. I was not creative anymore. And the people that live with me, the people that surround me here and don't really have an escape right now because of COVID, I was either totally aggressive with or totally shut them out. And because I wanted to figure that stupid situation out, and kind of like an aggressive pit bull, who can't get out of that mode anymore. And yeah, lying is definitely part of that too, then, because you kind of try to have the happy face on, and keep people close and in a good mood, and help them out. But then at the same time, you build up so much resentment because you'd rather them help you instead of having to put that happy face on. So I don't allow myself to look weak in any kind. When I cry, it's really because I held back for so many weeks. But everything that happens before is trying to protect that soft spot that is actually crying for help, but I don't allow it. I don't know if that makes any sense, or if that was totally confusing right now.
No,
But
it
that was,
wasn't confusing.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't confusing at all. Actually, the funny thing about that is that when we can show other people our vulnerabilities, right, and our weaknesses, those are actually our strengths, right?
Yeah.
The ability to do that. But we've got ourselves so fooled, and we've inverted the two. We make it
Mhm.
seem like, if that because I have vulnerabilities, and because I show weaknesses, like whether it's, emotionally, or, whatever it is for you. I mean, it manifests itself differently in everybody. I think it's the opposite. I think that when you're in your truth and you're being authentic and you're allowing people to see the vulnerabilities in you, and I think that shows great strength.
Mm-hmm. Just when you're in it, it is hard to then be that vulnerable, soft person, because there's also that weird connection of feeling like a burden to others and wanting to be strong for others. And if we just know that, no, it's so important to be vulnerable, because then the other person can be the strong shoulder for you. Otherwise they can't. Otherwise they're there and don't really know how to like behave around you. And if you soften up, if you admit what's going on inside of you, then you can actually create connection. And it's a big step. It's a big step to just let those guards down and say, hey, I reached a point where I need you.
So you have to be, so if I'm hearing you right, so one, you have to be able to communicate these things, right? That's one part of diffusing sort of the situation. Because if you're communicating and you're telling people, how they can assist you, or how they can help you show up better, or how they can show up better, in the situation, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other thing that I'm hearing is that doesn't allow you to go any further than that, and that's trust. And
Mm-hmm.
the lack of trust within other people, because whether it is, we're trying to protect ourselves, we're not trying to get hurt. I do this a lot, and I just talked to this earlier to somebody about this earlier. So between my daughter and my dog, I give them so much love, right? I am 100% like the kind of loving person that you would want your significant other to be, like to get hugs and kisses and to be playful with them, and to be silly, and all of the things
Mm-hmm.
that you can do once you trust somebody fully, right? And that they're not going to hurt you. I
Mm-hmm.
can't do that with the opposite sex. But my girlfriend watches me do that with my dog and my daughter all the time.
Yeah,
And
and she's probably, why not me? And because she triggers something in you that your daughter and your dog don't, probably. Or
well, no, it's just a lack of trust. It's because I
yeah,
don't trust. It's safe. It's safe there, right? Because my dog is going to love me unconditionally, no matter what, right? No
yeah.
matter what I do. My daughter, same thing. Of course, and if I did something wrong to her, of course, that's a little bit different because you're dealing with a human now. But if you're parenting the right way, you want the best for your children. You want I want my daughter to be safe, and I want her to feel loved, and I want her to feel like she's important, and I want her to feel like I'll never leave her,
Mm-hmm.
like she can always count on me to be there for her. And I have a hard time
Yeah, and
doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I have a hard time doing that with my girlfriend, or any opposite sex for that matter, for probably the last, I would say, 15 years, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even 20 years. There was a point where I just stopped trusting relationships, and from whatever reason, probably because I was always the one that burned them down. So maybe I just didn't trust myself. I don't know. Like I said, we are not mental health counselors.
No.
We're not giving you mental health advice. We're not giving you relationship advice. We're not giving you any kind of advice. All we're doing is
No.
allowing you to be a fly on the wall of a conversation from two people that struggled with sort of the same things, but on different spectrums of it, and how we've gotten through it, and how we are, sort of navigating are navigating our way through it.
Exactly. Well said, Sean. Yeah, trust issue is, I think, at the root of like you and I, our problem. Because if we were to trust people fully, we wouldn't need to lie. We wouldn't need to hide. We wouldn't need to come up with some stupid manipulative ways to keep people interested in us and stuff. So what can we do about this? How can we be like you and I are with our dogs? How can we be those warm, trusting people? That's what I would love to, know. And this is my goal. This is where I want to end up one day. And I feel what we're doing right now, like it's only the second episode. I feel so much better already talking about this and finding stuff about ourselves that can help us to get there.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move into something else, because what I'd like to try and do with these is keep them to about a half an hour, because those are consumable pieces. When we start getting into the 45 and 1 hour time frames, I feel like it, unless you're driving super content, but even then it's I feel like the 30-minute mark is the sweet spot. I used to think it was 60, but now I believe it's 30. So tell me what you've been going through, and I'll kind of check in on what my week's been through. It might take us a little bit longer than 30 minutes, but we're going to try and do this and then wrap up.
Yeah, so for me, it was a person from my past who like wanted to keep in touch with me again. And for the last year, I was very good at holding that person at distance. Because we went through some stuff where I behaved not good, and his behavior was not awesome either, but I felt my behavior was more destructive because I needed to end things. They were not good for me anymore. And so now to going on a walk with that person again and talking about stuff brought back all kinds of memories and guilt feelings and regrets that I didn't know how to channel out, and how to I don't want to say behave around, but how to get rid of, maybe even. So it was all stuck inside of me, because I thought, I can't really talk about this with anybody because nobody knows what was really going on. I kept everything to myself back then, and I'm just going to keep doing the same now. So I found myself really pushing people away that wanted to be close with me, and getting like rashes and headaches and sleepless nights, and feeling very uninspired, like not worthy of doing my podcast even anymore. And so it was a huge mess in my head and in my life, so to say. And now I'm feeling better. But it was being reminded of the past, I think, and of my past behavior that totally threw me off of my solid train tracks that I thought I was on. What was it for you, Sean? Or if you want to add something to this, feel free.
Yeah, that's why it's important, because sometimes when we think that we have it licked, right? I guess you would say, "Oh, I got this, right? I got this, and I'm not even tripping. I'm gonna. That's not even a problem anymore." But that's your subconscious tricking your ass, right? Because what are you going to do if that footing isn't so solid, right? What is your I guess you would say word for that is like, what's your parachute? What are you going to fall back on? What is your plan to not have to go through this? And what I mean by what is your plan? So I'm going to give an analogy here. I'm an addict. I suffered from addiction, from methamphetamines. I was addicted for 18 years. Then I went into a 7-year opiate addiction on pain pills. So when I went and had surgery on my arm, it's been, over 2 years since I've taken painkillers. I got prescribed painkillers. And so what I had to do is I had to have a plan because I knew that they were going to offer them to me. So what am I going to do about that? Right. Am I going to not take them? Am I going to take them? Or like, what does that look like? And so I created a plan before I even went to the surgery. I had got my girlfriend to agree, like, hey man, when we bring these pills home, cause I'm not going to take, cause I don't want to feel pain. If this is going to help me through it, I'm cool with it. But I want you to hold on to them and don't allow me to overuse them because I probably will.
Yeah.
And so, and then too, when the doctor came and asked me how many pills that I wanted, I mean, I guess I could have said 50. I could have said, 100 would have been way too much, but I just said, just give me 20 of them. I'm cool with 20. That way, that's a good amount to get me through the beginning part. And you get what I'm saying. So you got to have a plan, and that goes the same way for when you're trying to deal with people or you're trying to deal with your old behaviors. You got to have a plan for when they show up, right? For when that stuff comes out and you haven't dealt with it, or you haven't talked it out, or you haven't talked to somebody close to you to like relieve the pressure valve, right? Psst, all right, let some of that out. And that happens when you talk to people, like what we're doing right now. That's letting some of that pressure out. Some of what I want to talk about, and we're at 30. So when I was in my using, in my addiction, with my ex, hey Lewis, how are you? So my behavior when I was an addict with my ex, my daughter's mom. So I have 2 daughters. One of them I had when I was younger, and she's 21 now. I got those parental rights taken away from me, and her mom filed to have my rights terminated because not because of anything that I did to my daughter or anything like that, but just because of my behavior and my addiction. I had done something, I kind of screwed her over pretty big time. And so that was her way of doing it. I could have contested it, but I chose not to. I chose not to because I chose addiction and partying over my responsibilities as a father. And so I excused it away by saying, she's probably better off without me. And, I made all these excuses in my mind as to why this would be the best choice for me, but disguising it as the best choice for her. Right. That little game we play to rationalize our behavior. So fast forward, I went to prison, all that happened. I would lie about it when I'd tell the story, and I would say that, oh yeah, she waited till I went to prison and then she had me served. That's bullshit. That didn't happen that way. I chose not to contest it and not show up and party and not come to the court date. So 3 years have gone by. I went, I got out of prison and I found them and I made contact. I didn't talk to him. I didn't do any of that stuff. But I mean, I talked to him through Messenger, and then maybe about two years ago, I found her on Instagram, and we had been talking back and forth. I didn't know how to navigate that situation because it's like, yeah, I'm your biological dad, but I'm not your father, right? Because a father is all these other things that I didn't do, right? Like I would consider myself a father to my daughter that I have now, my 3.5-year-old, because I'm involved in her life. I'm there every day. I'm supporting her financially, mentally, and all that stuff. And this one I didn't do that for. So it just like navigating that whole system, like where do you even start with that, right? And so I kind of half-assed sometimes I would say, hey, sometimes I just get busy and not say anything. So what I think happened is it made her seem or feel like I wasn't interested. Like,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't want to kind of be in your, I mean, I could be in your life or I could not be in your life. I could take it or leave it. That's kind of like what I was presenting. And so that went on for a while. And just recently, within the last, I would say 3 or 4 days, she's reached out to me and wants to have a relationship and wants to get to know me and wants to go down that path of, whatever that is. And whatever that's going to look like for us as we're trying to figure this out. And I knew there would be a day that this would be that possibly this could happen, right? Because everybody always said, well, most daughters want to know who their dad is, and she's always going to want to know that, and she's going to want to know what the story is, because she'll hear one from her mom, which I don't know what that is. We haven't even gotten even into that, and I don't really even care. That doesn't matter to me. We were both probably way different people back then than we are now. So that's kind of where I'm at. And that's the things that I'm dealing with this week. And so there's a part of me that's really, really happy. And,
Wow.
that maybe I might get a chance to to fix those mistakes, right? That I had in the past. And I don't know what that's going to look like.
Fuck, you're making me cry.
Woo! I don't know what that's going to look like. And it's kind of scary.
It is scary because it's very uncertain, and at the same time it's so big and beautiful, and it could finally help you to let go of all the guilt and shame that you felt around that story, right?
Yeah. Ooh, sorry everybody. I didn't mean to get there, but there's a lot more under that than that. I'm kind of like trying to hold back, but when that time actually comes, when we actually meet again, and it's been since it was 18 months. The last time I seen her, she was 18 months old, and she's 21 now. And I'm probably gonna lose my shit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna cry like a fucking baby, and like the convulsion kind, right? The uncontrollable kind, because there's a lot of pain wrapped in there, man.
Exactly. Yeah. And for so long, my God, 21 years. But you know what? I think it's exactly that reaction that every daughter who is seeking out her dad secretly wants, wants the emotional, soft and warm kind of reaction, and embracing her, and yeah, just being happy that everything is over now and you guys get to have a new start.
Yeah. I'm excited, but I'm scared. I have all these emotions. Hey, Joy, how
Yeah.
are you? Thanks for joining the broadcast. Joy is one of my Patreon subscribers and one of my people that support the show, and appreciate you. Probably not a side of you that you probably thought you would see from me, but
A very beautiful one.
so yeah, so here we go. If we're gonna wrap this up here, because 40 minutes is cool.
Yeah.
If you want to be on the show, if you want to reach out to the show, you got a story that maybe you were one of these people, or maybe you were somebody who was on the other side of it and was affected by an abusive person. And if you want to come on the show, write an email, right? Shoot us an email and let us know. The email will be, let me find it. Nowhere to go but up now at gmail.com. There you go. Go right there. And give the show an email. If you don't want to be on the show and you just want to give us your story, and maybe we'll read it on air and and answer questions about it. That's possible too. You can do that as well. Like I said, the point here is to get real and get vulnerable and get honest with who we were. And until we can do that, or you can do that, if you're somebody who's struggling with some of the same things, you're never going to progress until you get real and honest with who you were. And the only way over stuff like that is through it, and talking about it and not hiding from it and being honest about it has been one of the key things that has made it so I can heal from it, honestly. And so, that's just what I want, my own message there. Do you got any parting words?
Those were very, very beautiful words. And all I can add is that it'd be so wonderful to have more people sharing their stories here. We're all in this together. We can all learn from each other, and we can support each other through that time of change and uncertainty, because it's sometimes very scary to let go of an old story and pain. And how am I, who am I when I don't feel pain, when I don't feel shame? So don't hesitate, and support our little show here and do yourself good too.
Thank you, Joy. We appreciate that. And then also too, we're still working things out. We did the last one on Zoom and I didn't like the audio. This one here looks like it may have a little bit of issues with your connection, because you're blurry, but the audio is good. So that's really what this is like. We want to do with these anyways, is that we wanted better audio. So we used StreamYard so we can both upload these. Woo! What's that?
Sorry. That's the home phone.
I'm like, ow. All right. And so we want to be able to put these up on our podcast platforms, on the like iTunes, Spotify. And so we're going to take the audio from this, and then she'll upload them to her podcast, which is the Borealis Experience. Go ahead and plug where you are.
The Borealis Experience is on Spotify, on Apple, on Deezer, and many, many other platforms. You can visit my homepage, theborealexperience.com, and listen there, or you'll be directed to your favorite host. Yes.
All right. And then also for me, you can contact me at the email there, or you can go to my Linktree, which is probably the easiest place. No, same thing. It's probably the easiest place to get a hold of me, because that's where every place that I'm at. You can go and support my nonprofit if you want and learn more about that. You can go and, if you like what I'm doing and you want to buy me a coffee, you can do that as well. That there's tabs in that Linktree to buy me a coffee. You can become a subscriber like Joy is to my Patreon, where you can be at $1, $2, $1, $3, $5, and $10 levels of where you can subscribe, and each tier has different perks. And so you can go over there and figure all that out. And I believe all of that is available in the description. Direct links to all that stuff, especially and for Aurora herself. So if you like what we're doing and you you think that this is a good idea, please let us know. Reach out and let us know what we can do. Different topics that you think that we can talk about that fit in with this sort of narrative here. And we'd like to hear from you.
Yes.
All right. So
Wonderful.
thank you again, Aurora. I really appreciate that. And, until next time, we're going to try and figure out a schedule to do this, maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks. I'm not sure exactly where we're at with it. This is the second time that we've done it. So go check out the first one, because if you want to learn who we were and the kind of behavior that we did, that's all in that first episode. So
yes.
I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, great weekend. Figure out if you struggle with any of this stuff, figure it out. And if you're struggling with something to the point where you don't know if you're going to hurt yourself or somebody else, seek out help. Call the hotlines, which we should have, that's what we should do the next time. We should have links and phone numbers for suicide prevention and mental health emergencies and stuff like that we can flash up as well. Because since we are not licensed counselors, the least that we can do is direct you to a place where you can get some help from people that are licensed.
Yes, very good idea, Sean.
Yeah. All right. So we're out of here. Have a great weekend, and keep it 100 and stay true to yourself.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sean. And see you soon again. Bye-bye.
Bye, Aurora. Bye, everybody.
Bye.